So welcome back to a new pattern making class, and in this pattern making class we're gonna do the basic skirt. Now this skirt that we are doing won't have any seam allowance because this is the basic skirt block. Now the reason why we're doing basic skirt block is because this is the block we will be using to design all of our design that you will be see coming in future classes. So as I said before, in this class we're gonna do the basic skirt block. We're gonna drop the pattern for the basic skirt. Now we will need some tools to draft this skirt block. So the notions we would need for draft this skirt block: you're gonna need some paper. Of course, you see I have some paper here. You're gonna need a marker. You're gonna need a calculator, or you can use your phone. You're gonna need a paper scissors. You're gonna need a ruler, a straight rule or any rule you have, and we're gonna need a curve rule as well. Depends, any curve rule you have you can use. You're gonna need some glue. You're gonna need your measurement, and we're gonna need a measuring tape. So let's get started in drafting this skirt block. So I'm gonna remove these tools here so that we can get going with our skirt block. So I have two pieces of paper here, and I'm going to paste some paper together because I am using the shorter version. This is the 11.5 by 17 I have here. So I'm going to put some glue on one of these paper. Let me just make sure it's not two paper I have here. That is feeling like two paper. Okay, this is one paper here. So I'm going to get some glue and I'm going to put on the edge of this paper. So if you are using a large sheet of paper, you don't have to do this process here. But because I am using two pieces of paper, that's why I am doing this section here. So I'm going to get a piece of paper and I'm going to paste this down here. Now I need more than this paper here. So I have to go ahead and I have to paste some more. So I'm going to put some glue at this end of the other paper. The reason why I'm using this short paper instead of using a full-size paper is because I save a lot when I use these paper. Because using the full-size paper, you're wasting a lot. So I'm going to paste this down here. Now I'm going to make sure I get the full length of my skirt that I needed, which I'm going to take my measuring tape and I'm going to measure and make sure that I get 27 inches. So I have enough to draft my skirt. So the first thing we're going to do, we're drafting this skirt. Let me just zoom out this camera a little for you. This is the first thing we're going to do, where I am drafting my skirt here. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to get the skirt. We're going to draw a line onto this paper. So we're going to get our ruler and we're going to draw a straight line down this paper. So get your ruler. And I'm going to draw a line. This is just a guideline I'm drawing here. Because sometimes the paper is not straight. So that's why I just drawing a guideline. I'm going to draw a guideline. And this guideline will be the length of the skirt. So I'm going to draw in my line. We are not putting any hem allowance on this skirt. We will do that in further video coming. So this is my line and I'm going to draw a next line across here. This is just a next guideline which will act as the waistline. So you make sure the line is straight and we're going to draw in this line here. So this would just be the guideline. So this corner here would be E. So mark that as E. So now from this end here, we're gonna measure down the hip length. So grab your measuring tape. So we're gonna measure down the hip length. Now we need some measurement for draft this skirt. So I'm gonna grab my mannequin here, like I did in the previous class, the bodice class, and we're gonna use this to do the measurement. So the first thing we're gonna need our waist measurement. Now you're gonna need your waist measurement for this, right? Now you measure your waist. This is your waist measurement that we measuring. So we're gonna need this waist measurement, and you're gonna write this measurement down. Next, we're gonna need our hip measurement. You're gonna need the fullest part of your hip, and you're gonna measure your hip measurement. Right the way around, we're gonna need this hip measurement. You're gonna measure that, and you're gonna write it down. Next, what we're gonna need the hip length from your waist to your hip to the fullest part of your hip. This should be 6. Sometimes it could be 7. Sometimes it could be 8. Sometimes it could be 9. It could go all the way up to 11, depends on your size, right? So from your waist to the fluffiest part of your hip, that would be your hip length. So we would need that measurement, and then we would need the length of the skirt. However long you want your skirt, you measure your skirt down. Well, I would be going 27 inches would be the length of my skirt. So now, from this line here, we're gonna measure down the hip measurement that I showed you, the last measurement. So my own is 9 inches. Your own could be more. So I'm gonna measure down my hip measurement, and I'm gonna mark that in 9 inches, and I'm gonna square this line. So I'm gonna measure again 9 inches. Make sure I get 9 inches, and I'm going to square that down. Okay, now we're gonna square this line here. I'm gonna square this line. Let's square this line. So before we square the line, let's get our hip measurement and divide that by 4. So the first measurement we're gonna divide is our hip measurement. So you're gonna get your mannequin and you measure your hip. So get your hip, your measurement, as I show you the fluffiest part of your hip, and we're gonna measure around the fullest part of our hip, like this, the fullest part of our hip, and we're gonna divide that measurement by 4. But before we could divide that measurement by 4, what we need to do, we're gonna get our hip measurement. We're gonna add 1 5/8 inch or 3 centimeter. Who working in centimeter, you're gonna add 3 centimeter ease. Who working in inches, you're gonna add 1 5/8 inch ease, right? We're gonna divide that by 4, and whatever remaining measurement we get, we're gonna put it on the hip line. Okay, so get your hip measurement and add 3 centimeter or 1 5/8 inches ease, and we're gonna divide that by 4, right? So whatever measurement you get, you put it here. So my measurement, I get 12 and 1/8, so I will put it here. You can get more, you can get less. It depends on how much is your hip measurement, right? So I'm gonna measure this round, and I'm gonna draw in this line here. So this is the width of my hip measurement that I divide by 4. So let me repeat. Measure your hip. You add 3 centimeter to the hip measurement. So let's say if your hip is 48 or 37 or 40, depends on how the fullest part of your hip is. Let me work with a 47 hip measurement. So let's say your hip is 47 inches. Now you're gonna add 1 5/8 inch to that measurement Or if you're working in centimeter, you're going to add 3 centimeter to the farthest 7 hip measurement. Right? Then you're going to divide that measurement by 4. Right? When you divide it by 4, the remaining measurement that you leave with, we're going to draw the line from here to here. So this would be our hip measurement. Now, since we have our hip, we're going to mark hip, and this going to be waist, right? Now we're going to need our waist measurement to put on the waist. So what we need to do, get your tape measure, and we're going to measure our waist. I showed you how to measure it earlier, but I'm going to show you back. Because sometimes our brains can't remember everything. So you're going to measure around the fullest part of your waist, right? Measure around the fullest part of your waist, and you're going to add 1 inch to that measurement. And we're going to divide that measurement by 4, right? And then we're going to add 1¼ inches to that measurement. Working in centimeter, you're going to add 2 centimeters to that measurement, right? So now, my waist measurement, so I working with a 36 waist measurement, plus I add 1 inches to the waist measurement. I'm going to divide that by 4, I get 9¼ plus I'm going to add 1¼ inches, give me 10½. So I have to add 10½ to this line here, right? So I'm going to get my measuring tape and I'm going to measure out 10½. Now the reason why we add the 1¼ inch back to that measurement is for the dart. Okay, so I'm going to measure 10½ because my dart included. So the waist measurement that we add the 1¼ inches back, what is for the dart. So let me go over again. Let's say you're working with a 36 waist measurement. You're going to add 1 inches to the measurement. You're going to divide that measurement by 4. And when you finish dividing it, you're going to add 1¼ inches to it and you put the measurement here. So I divide my own by 4. I left with 9¼ I add 1¼ inches to it, give me 10½ inches, which I place here. Okay, I hope I was able to make that clear for you. Now, we're going to connect, get the length of the skirt. So grab your measuring tape and let's get the length of the skirt. So the length of your skirt from your waist here, I am working with a 27 inches length skirt, right? So I will mark the length of my skirt from my waist. So this is my own from my waist, 27 inches. I will come back and do the same thing from my hip, from my waist here, which I want to work with a 27 inches. So I'm gonna go down 27 inches from my marking. Okay, 27 inches from my waist here. I'm gonna mark my 27 inches and I'm gonna put a mark. So now I'm gonna connect these two marks here. I'm gonna connect these two marks. Now this is the length of my skirt. So this would be the length of my skirt. Now the length of the skirt, the bottom of the skirt would be the same width or your hip measurement. So my own is 12 1/8. So it would be the same width. Okay, 12 1/8. So I would draw that in. So that would be my hip measurement come to the bottom of the skirt. So go ahead and draw in your own. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna connect this to this. So we need a long ruler to connect this line, right? Or what you can do is measure out 12 inches from here. So like what I like to do is get my measuring tape and I measure out 12 inch and 12 1/8 again here. If I don't have a long ruler, I measure it out from this line here and I get 12 and 1/8, and I just put a marking and connect this ruler. So I'm going to put a marking here. Now I'm going to connect from here. I'm going to connect from here to here, and then I'm going to come and connect the rest. Okay, so let's see where the 12 is from here, from my hip. 12 and 1/8, that gives me right here. So I'm going to come and I'm going to connect that. So I'm going to connect that. So this is what our skirt starts shaping like. So this is the bottom of the skirt. Now we're going to work on the waist of the skirt. Now for the waist, remember we measure the waist. So we're going to connect this dart to that dart. That's this marking to this marking. So now grab your ruler and now connect the marking where you put your waist measurement, right? So connect your marking, and this is my skirt, what the skirt starts shaping like. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna divide this waist in half, and we're gonna put our dart on the skirt. So grab your tape measure and let me divide this waist in half. So we're gonna grab our tape measure and we're gonna measure this waist, and we're gonna divide this waist in half. Divide that waist in half. So my own is 10. I get my own 10 and a half. So we're gonna divide that in half, which is 5 and a quarter for me. Now don't draw my skirt, draw your skirt. Okay, do your measurement. You're working with a 40 waist measurement, you divide it, you add the east to it, and then you divide it by 4, and then you add the 1 1/4 inches. So this would be our dart. Now we're gonna measure down some inches from this dart, right? We're gonna measure down some inches from this dart. So we're gonna measure down 4 1/2 inches or 12 centimeter from this dart. Okay, so let's grab our ruler and measure down 4 1/2 inches or 12 centimeter. Who working in centimeter? So I'm gonna measure down 4 1/2 inches. This dart here. So this is my dart, and on each side I'm gonna put half inch, right? For the 3 centimeter dart you put, or the one and the 1 1/4. So you could put 3/4. So we put 1 1/4 for the dart, right? For the skirt waist. So we gotta put divide that and put that here. So for me, so since it's 3 centimeter, I'm gonna put 1 1/2 centimeter on each side. You're gonna put let me tell you how much on each side you will put. So you're gonna measure your tape, and since it's 1 1/4, what you could have put it there, and you divide that 1 1/4 into, turn the measuring tape like this, like that. So it's 1 1/4 inch. So divide it and you put your dart right here. Move that back and you put your dart here. So you have your 2 dart right here, right? So you do your measurement. Let me make sure that my own okay. So I have mine here. Yes, working in centimeter is 1 1/2 centimeter. So I'm gonna get my ruler now and I'm gonna connect this dart here. So for who working in inches, break the tape in half, forget the righted measurement, and let's connect it here. So this would be our front of our skirt. Now we're gonna drop the not the front, sorry. This is gonna be the back of our skirt. So right back. So we're gonna write CB center back. Right? So now we're gonna draw a guideline on this skirt, which I'm going to do it in a different color marker for you guys. So we're gonna draw a guideline on this skirt. So grab your ruler and let's put our green line onto this skirt. And put a green line. I'm gonna put your green line on your skirt. So I'm just putting a green line onto my skirt. The reason for green line is to balance this skirt onto the fabric. So I put a green line. Grab your marker and put your green line. Right? And now we're going to drop this skirt back 1 centimeter or half inches down. So I'm going to get my ruler and I'm going to drop my skirt waist down 1 centimeter or half inch. Alright? And now we're going to get our ruler and we're going to connect our waist. Remember, we are not straight. Okay? So I'm going to connect my waist back to from here to this dart here. Right here. Alright? Remember, we are not straight. So I'm going to connect this here. So this would be my skirt drop there. Okay? I'm going to connect that back. Make sure it connects properly right out. So it come back to the skirt. So now this is the back of your skirt here. Right? So you're going to mark the back of your skirt. Now you're going to mark skirt back. Right? Let's mark skirt back. Skirt back. Right? So this is the skirt back. Basic. So this is the basic block. This is the basic block. So this don't have any seam allowance. So this is our front back of our skirt. So this is the back of the skirt. So now what we're gonna do, we're going to cut this skirt out and then we're gonna go move on to the front. So let's go ahead and let's cut this skirt out. So I'm gonna cut out the skirt. And remember, this skirt didn't have any hem allowance. It don't have any seam allowance. This skirt is just a basic skirt block, and this skirt is what we'll be using to do all our different designs. So we're going to cut out your skirt. The reason why we add the ease to the waist and the ease to the hip is to allow movement in the skirt. You don't want your skirt too tight and you don't want it to be. So the ease is to allow movements. So now we're going to fold this dart and we're going to cut this skirt out. Alright? I'm going to fold this dart and we're going to draw back in this waist here. Make sure it line up properly. Alright? And draw back in the waist, the skirt. Then draw back this in here to connect with this. Now we're going to cut this out. So always fold your dart and cut it out. Okay. I'm going to cut it. So this would be our skirt here. And now we're going to cut out this section here. this is the back of our skirt. Now we will go and we're going to draw the front of our skirt. So we will go ahead and we will draw the front of the skirt, because what we did was the back. So you're going to grab your paper, the same procedure. You're going to draw your straight guideline, and you're going to draw your upper guideline, which will act as the waist, right? Which would act as the waist. So you're going to do the same thing. It's similar to the front. It's just a repeat, right? So we're going to measure down our hip, which I'll repeat, my own is 9 inches. So it's same like the front. You measure down your hip, 9 inches. Your own could be 10, your own could be 12, your own could be different. So measure down, and then you're going to measure down the length of your skirt from your waist, which my own is 27 inches. You're going to measure and you're going to put a mark. So I'm going to draw in my hip. I'm going to draw in my hip measurement here. I'm going to draw in my hip. And now I'm going to measure out my hip. So we're doing the same as what we did. So get your hip measurement, divide your hip measurement by 4. So the first step we're going to do, how much ever is your hip measurement. So let's say your hip measurement is 47 or 50, it could be 60. How much ever is your full hip measurement. You're going around the fullest part of your hip, as I showed you before in the first class, in the first spot on skirt, the back of the skirt that we draw. Right? So get your hip measurement, and we're gonna measure out our hip measurement. So let's say we're working with a 47 inches hip measurement. So 47 plus 3 centimeter, or 1 and 5/8 inches for those who working in inch. Who working in centimeter, gonna be 3 centimeter. So 47 is hip measurement, add 3 centimeter or 1/5/8 inch to the 47. We're going to divide it by 4, and whatever measurement we get, we put it here. So since I'm working with the 12, with the 47, I get 12 and 1/8. Your own could be more, your own could be less. So this is my measurement. You work with your measurement, right? So I'm going to work with my measurement. So I'm getting 12 and 1/8. So I'm going to measure out 12 and 1/8 here as well, to connect this to the length, the skirt. So 12 and 1/8. I'm going to draw that in, and now I'm going to connect this skirt here. I'm going to connect this. Just measure down the length of the skirt from the waist. Now you're measuring down the length of the skirt from your waist to however long you want your skirt. So from my waist to the length of my skirt is 27 inches. Remember, this is just the basic skirt. We are not adding hem allowance to this skirt as yet. So I'm going to measure in, and then I'm going to connect to the measurement that I have here. So I'm going to measure out the same hip measurement from this end here. I'm going to come and get 12 and 1/8, and I'm going to measure out the hip measurement. 12 inches and 1/8. So I'm going to measure that there, and I'm going to measure out 12 and 1/8 the same way here. 12 and 1/8, and I'm going to connect this line. So we're connecting it the same way as how we connect for the other skirt. Connect. I'm going to draw in this that I have here. Make sure your hip is 12 and 1/8, or how much ever is the measurement you have remaining. Make sure is that you have here, and you're going to connect it. I'm going to connect. So this is what our shape look just as the front. Now we need to get a waist. Now for your waist, get your waist measurement the same as how we do the front. So let's say you're working with a 36 waist measurement. You're gonna add 1 inch to that. We're gonna divide that measurement by 4, and then we're gonna add 1 1/4 to it. So I working with a 36 hip measurement, whatever waist measurement, sorry. I working with a 36 waist measurement. Whatever waist measurement you working with, you're gonna add 1 inch to that waist measurement. That is the ease. Or working in centimeter, you're gonna add 2 centimeter. Alright? That is for ease, that is for movements. When you don't know, after you done add the 1 inch or the 2 centimeter to the waist measurement, we're gonna divide that by 4. So since I working with a 36-inch waist measurement, I add 1 inch to that, I get 37. Now I'm gonna divide that by 4, I get 9 1/4. Now I want to add 1 1/4 inches to that, or 3 centimeter for who working in centimeter. So since I add in 1 1/4 to 9 1/4, I end up with 10 1/2. So the 10 1/2 I leave with, I'm going to put it on my waistline. Whatever measurement you leave with, you put it onto your waistline, because this is the waist measurement we're working with. So since I leave with 10 1/2, I'm going to put it on my waistline. It's similar to the back. Alright, I'm going to put it on my waistline, and then I'm going to get my ruler, and I'm going to connect the same way like how I connect the back of the skirt. Alright, so this would be the front of my skirt. Now we have to find the middle part of this the dart, for the dart. So we're going to measure our skirt same way, since it's 10 1/2, and we're going to divide that in half, which is 5 1/4 for me. Right, but I will still fold my measuring tape to make sure I get the right measurement. Okay, and I'm gonna put my measurement right here. Okay, so if I measure from here to here, it's supposed to be 5 1/4 direct. Now for this front of the skirt, we're gonna go down 10 centimeter, right, or 4 since we're going down 10 centimeter, it's gonna be from, let me get it in inches for you. Let me get it in inches for you. So the 10 centimeter will be 4 inches. So since the back of the skirt is 4 1/2 inches down, this is the length of the dart. So the back of the skirt was 4 1/2 inches, the length of the dart. Now the front of the dart gonna be 4 inches long. So get your ruler, and let's measure down the front of the dart. So remember, we measured down the back of the dart was 4 1/2, so the front gonna be 4 inches, and on the back we're gonna put the same like how we put for the front. So grab your tape measure, and you measure out for the dart. For the front, we add 1 1/4. So get 1 1/4 on one side of the dart, and then we're going to measure, and we're going to fold this dart. We're going to fold this measuring tape to get the right tape measurement. Alright, so fold your measuring tape in half, put your measurement there, then you're going to bring it across, and you're going to place your measurement same way on to that. And now we're going to connect these darts. For who working in centimeter, you're going to put 1 1/4 centimeter on each side. Okay, 1 1/2 centimeter, sorry, on each side. Who working in inches, you're going to fold your measuring tape to get the measurement as I show you. If it cheaper for you in centimeter, you just put 1 1/2 on each side. Now since we drop the back waist, we need to drop the front waist as well. So we're going to drop this front waist same 1/2 inch or 1 centimeter. Okay, and we're going to square out this line. So we're going to square the line out. We draw the 1 centimeter down. We're going to square out this line. Square this line out. And now we're going to get our rough. And we're going to connect our waist. Okay? We're going to connect our waist. We're going to connect our waist. Since we drop the dart down, we're going to connect our waist. So we're going to connect our waist. So this would be our front waist here that we connect. Alright? So now what we're going to do, we're going to fold this dart here. So we have to fold this dart. Fold this dart. And then we're going to come and we're going to connect. So make sure your dart fold properly. Make sure you fold it properly, because since we drop the waist, we have to fold this dart properly. So grab your dart, fold it, and then we're going to come and we're going to connect it here. Alright, connect, and we're going to straighten out back this dart. Make sure this dart is straight. And now we're going to cut our skirt out. And cut out our skirt. But since we have a curve, okay, we have a curve in our skirt, in our waist. So this would be our front. So now we're gonna cut this out. Cut it out. So we're gonna cut it out. And remember, this is our basic skirt. So we're going to put some marking onto this skirt. So you're going to get your ruler and we're going to put a green line, just as how we put a green line for balance onto this skirt. So you're going to draw in your green line. This is my green line here. You're going to put your green line and you're going to mark the skirt. So this would be skirt front, right? This will be cutting on a fold. So this is CF, right? So your skirt front. So this will be cutting on a fold. If you want, you could write your name on your skirt, like I would do here. So this is the front of our skirt. Now for the back, we don't have the marking here, but we're gonna write, we're cutting 2 pieces of this. This is skirt back, so we're gonna cut 2 pieces. So we cut in 2, and you could put your name on your skirt. So this, since we have our skirt here, this is the skirt front and this is the skirt back. So this is what our skirt look like. Now this pattern that we draw here is for non-stretch fabric. So we can make this with a woven fabric, But for the stretch fabric, we will have to take out the extra ease that we put into this pattern. So we will do that in later video. That's why I'm showing you step by step how to draft the basic bodice for non-stretch fabric. So this pattern black that we draft here is for the non-stretch fabric, right? So we draft our skirt in this classes here. This is our skirt black. So in the first classes we had our top, and now we have our skirt. So you're supposed to have in your draft, since you finished drafting, you're supposed to have a skirt front and a bodice back, and you're supposed to have a bodice front. And today what we draft is the bodice skirt front and the bodice skirt back. So we are going pretty good in our basic skirt. So now you can add these two together, and I will show you how to develop it into a dress in a later video. So since this is the basic, so if you do these classes and you enjoy it, please leave the comment down below. And in your class so far, you are doing pretty well. Practice make perfect. So continue in your classes where you would learn a lot from me. I will teach you everything that I know. Right? Just continue your classes. So as I said, so far you done very well. I'm happy to see the progress that you are making. So you have your bodice back and front, your skirt back and front. So you have a whole outfit right here. So I will see you in my next tutorial, in my next class. I will see you. So this is all for now for today, and I will see you in my next class. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.